This is Gateway City Sports. This is the Derek King Sports Show. Cardinals, Blues, Mizzou Athletics, Chiefs. He has it covered. The Derek King Sports Show. Only on Gateway City Sports.
How is everyone doing on this rainy morning this morning? It's rainy. It's boring. And we've got a few things to talk about. We got the NFL draft coming up here really soon. So there's some fun stuff to talk about there. We've had some trades. We've had some moves. Players being traded to other teams to make room for other players that potentially are being drafted. So we've got some things that we need to discuss there. We're going to talk a little bit about your St. Louis Cardinals up to this point and where we're at. And then we're going to talk about a couple other little odd end things, do some housekeeping stuff. So let's go ahead and let's get started in on the NFL draft and what's coming up here real shortly. And I'm, kind of like in the baseball, this hot stove league, or the hot stove every single, winter, and how that kind of picks up, typically usually on a usual year. Well, this has been really interesting and a lot of different moves. Just recently, the other day, it was announced that Sam Darnold has been traded from the New York Jets to the Carolina Panthers. That is right, to your Carolina Panthers. That's an interesting move. I'm really kind of surprised that the Panthers made a move on Darnold, considering where they were in the draft. Maybe they felt like their quarterback that they wanted or a potential quarterback replacement wasn't going to be there. And then plus they're taking a little bit of a dice roll on Darnold. I think you've really got a good quarterback there. I just think that the New York situation was just bad. Adam Gase was just bad. He was bad in Miami. He was bad in New York. I think that it's kind of time the ship has set sail on his career as a head coach, because it just shows where the level of his success is. And so I'll just leave it at that. But Carolina went in, took the risk. They also extended him an additional year. They picked up his fifth-year option. So he's going to not only be there this year, but he will be there next year. And so they're going to give him a couple years. They've also told Teddy Bridgewater, who's over there as well, to go ahead and shop the trade market and see what options are out there for him. So that's going to be interesting going forward to see if Bridgewater moves on, if he goes to another team. I think in any other instance, he's probably just going to be a backup for any other team. I think his best chances are to stay here in Carolina and see what happens with the Darnold thing. So there's that. Now, the big news that's kind of come out of that whole thing is the whole situation with the New York Jets and who they want to move on in the draft. And it's looking to be like they are going to be going after BYU product, Zach Wilson. Now, over these last 24 hours or so, Steve Young, the former 49ers quarterback, all-pro, Hall of Famer, he recruited Zach Wilson for BYU. If you remember Young's college career, he was at BYU, Brigham Young University. So he recruited Zach Wilson. He's in close contact with the family and everything. There was this hope that Zach Wilson was going to fall to the San Francisco 49ers at number 3. I think there was this idea that that was going to potentially happen. That doesn't really look to be the case right now. Now, what it's looking to be has more to do with talent. Because we're talking about now that another report that came out yesterday was that Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, he is supposedly the best player in the draft right now. And so if you're thinking as a team like, hey, we need that George Kittle, we need that Travis Kelce, we need that type of a talent at tight end, then that's what you need to be moving on. If you need that type of a threat for your quarterback, if you need a security blanket. I mean, most quarterbacks, in any cases, they get in trouble. They have their dump off. They have their tight end. They have their sure guy that they go to that they could just dump that ball off to. Kyle Pitts is that type of a player. He's really right up there with the Travis Kelce's, with the George Kittles, Tony Gonzalez, that type of a tight end. Rob Gronkowski, whenever he was, not injured and not, older half the time. So that's going to be interesting to see where he falls in the first, I would say the first 8 picks, potentially even the first 7 picks. I think if he gets to 7, he'll definitely go to the Detroit Lions for sure. I mean, there's just no question about that. They've got to get Jared Goff some weapons over there. And that was a trade that happened earlier in the season, was the Goff-Stafford trade between the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. I think the only sure bet on the draft board right now, if you had to, just really put me down on it and say, what's your guarantee, what's your lock pick, that's going to be number 5. The Cincinnati the Cincinnati Bengals are going to pick Penei Sewell, offensive tackle, Oregon. That is going to be your lock pick for the draft. There's no question in my mind that that's who they go out and they get. He's the best offensive lineman on the board. They need the help. The really interesting one that I want to see is number 4. That's the Atlanta Falcons pick at number 4. What are they going to do there at number 4? Are they going to continue to stay there? They still have Matt Ryan for a couple of years. Do they still stay there and pick a quarterback? Or do they step back and they move back? They pick a wide receiver. They pick a cornerback. They pick something else. To me, I think, at least in my opinion, I would say you trade out. And I would say the one team that really wants to move up more than anything is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos need a quarterback now. Drew Lock, I'm a Drew Lock guy. He's a Missouri guy, all that stuff, but he's just not there. He's the, 4th or 5th best quarterback in that division. He's not ready. Could he potentially be ready? Yes, but he's just not there yet for the Denver Broncos. They need a solid quarterback that they haven't had since Peyton Manning. I think the Denver Broncos try to at least make a trade up to number 4 with the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons will step back to number 9, and the Denver Broncos will come up to number 4. Now, this is where it gets interesting, number 3 and number 4. Because if we know Trevor Lawrence is going number 1, that's a lock. And number 5, Penei Sewell is a lock. Then we've got 2, 3, and 4. It could be up in the air. And we're going to say, for the sake of argument, that the Atlanta Falcons trade with the Denver Broncos. We're just going to throw a hypothetical out there. Let's say they do. I'm thinking number 2 is more than likely going to be Zach Wilson, being of the fact that the Jets have been in contact with him and his family, and there's been a lot of conversation that's welcoming Zach Wilson to the New York Jets. So I think that's probably getting as close, unless they're playing some kind of a game here, that Zach Wilson is probably going to end up being the quarterback for the New York Jets. Number 3 and number 4 is where it gets interesting. They could flip, and they could go either way. I think that the sure thing is that Kyle Shanahan wants a pure pocket passer. He wants a Phillip Rivers, a Peyton Manning, and we're just talking about the traditional quarterbacks from this era, from the last 10 years. Andrew Luck type of, quarterback that's just going to be a pure pocket passer. They got to get out and run it a little bit. That's fine, but that's not what Kyle Shanahan doesn't want. He does not want a mobile quarterback. He wants a pocket passer quarterback. That being said, it's kind of the opposite way with Lynch. Lynch wants himself a talent. He wants himself a big, heavy hitter that's going to be out there that's going to really make it difficult on defenses. That's what he wants. So it could go either way. I'm going to make my call, and I'm going to slot in Justin Fields at number 3 for the San Francisco 49ers. I think that's potentially the pick. It could go him or Trey Lance at number 3. But I think it's probably going to be Justin Fields. He's just far and above the better talent than Trey Lance is. Justin Fields is a better talent, but you might have a better upside with Trey Lance. I think Justin Fields is the more win now. Trey Lance is more of the win later. So I've got it to where the San Francisco 49ers pick Justin Fields at number 3. At number 4, we have a trade. Atlanta Falcons trade with the Denver Broncos, and I have the Denver Broncos picking quarterback Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. At number 5, Penei Sewell, offensive tackle, Oregon, Cincinnati Bengals. At number 6, Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida, to the Miami Dolphins. There's going to be your tight end. I think that's where he goes. I think that's where the things are trending. I think that's where we're heading. They're going to start getting weapons for Tua. Number 7, wide receiver, LSU, Jamar Chase. I think that Detroit needs some weapons. If Kyle Pitts is not taken by the Miami Dolphins, which I think would be a absolute travesty, we're probably talking about more than likely Jamar Chase at number 7 going to Detroit. At number 8, the Carolina Panthers, now that they have their quarterback, they go offensive tackle out of Northwestern, Rashawn Slater. Number 9, this is the trade back from the Denver Broncos. The Atlanta Falcons at number 9 take cornerback, Alabama, Patrick Surtain II, and to level out the top 10 of the first round, the Cowboys, them boys, number 10, take wide receiver, Alabama, Jalen Waddle. So there's your top 10 in the NFL draft, at least from my perspective. Unless any other trades are made, and unless anything changes, I think that's probably what we're talking about when it comes to top 10. We've got Will the Thrill Freeman, the XFL insider himself, over on the XFL STL show. He's over in our comment section, tearing it up as he always is. Will says, hopefully Fields can change the perception of Ohio State quarterbacks. Quote Dwayne Haskins. I'm hoping so. Being of the fact that I think that what has changed a lot of this draft right now has been certain things like that, but one of the big factors right now has been the Deshaun Watson situation down there in Houston. He wants out of Houston badly, and maybe a lot of the reason of why he wanted out of Houston so badly was because of what he's been up to. Now, I'm not making any accusations. I am just stating what has already been stated. There has been several accusations levied against the quarterback, Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans, of inappropriate behavior. I'll just leave it at that. And he's in big trouble. And a lot of teams are now hands off. Whenever there was a lot of teams that were hands on, and they were willing to hand over 2 to 3 number 1 picks. And Houston was getting greedy because they wanted those picks back. They wanted their number 1 picks back that they had gave up here over the last season or so, and just rolled over and just gave away the farm for everything. And because they head coach, who I will not name because he's just a blithering idiot, was there running that organization as GM and head coach. It was just a ridiculous series of events that have now caused the Houston Texans to be stuck with a quarterback that doesn't want to be there because he's in deep doo-doo and he's done bad things, and you had an opportunity to move on from him early on, but you got greedy, and now you're stuck. So, Houston Texans, this one's on you. You could have moved on earlier from him. You didn't want to. You got greedy. Shame on you, and now you're stuck. Okay? So, maybe you deserve it. Maybe you've earned it. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to sit here and candy coat this and sugar coat it and make it all sweet and nice and something spicy for you guys to be able to take in if you're a Houston fan. I'm sorry. But the reality of the situation is you screwed the pooch on this one. Okay? Now you're stuck with a talent with bad behavior problems, potentially accused. Remember, we are in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and you are innocent until proven guilty, but in the social media world, you're guilty until proven innocent. So let's just keep that in mind. So that kind of, kind of puts a little bit of a clearer picture on the NFL draft coming up here shortly. We're going to continue to keep following it. There's going to be more trades. There's going to be more moves. There's going to be more players going back and forth and picks going back and forth potentially. And I see certain players coming up, and I see certain players kind of starting to edge down. And so we're going to keep a closer eye on it. We're going to keep a closer eye on it. We're going to see who's going to move up, who's going to move down. We could potentially be seeing the Patriots moving up the board in a possible potential trade. There's been rumors of that. There's been rumors of other teams wanting to move back. The Atlanta Falcons are one of them that want to move back. The Denver Broncos are one of them that want to move forward. The Patriots are one of them that want to move forward. And so we're going to see. We're going to see how things are going to fall out and on that particular subject matter. Now, the one thing that I want to get into is your St. Louis Cardinals and where they're at right now as far as now that we've gotten spring training out of the way and the start of the first, couple stands out of the way on the road. Tomorrow we're having opening day in St. Louis, which is, anybody that's been around this as long as I have, 30 plus years, and have, watched it as long as they have, it's like Easter Sunday, it's Easter dinner. It's like Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving, whatever. It's just something that just always happens every year. It's a big event. It's a huge thing. So that game starts tomorrow at 3:15 p.m. and I believe that's on Bally Sports, formerly Fox Sports Midwest, but over there on Bally Sports right now. So the Cardinals are 3-2. So they won one against the Reds. They dropped the next two after the Castellanos incident. I don't think I really need to bring that up, but Castellanos was suspended to 2 games for his, let's just say kind of his approach to handling the situation at home plate with a rookie pitcher. But the Cardinals managed to escape that series with 2 losses under their belt, but picked up 1 win. And they went against the Miami Marlins and managed to pick up a couple more wins, which is always good. So now we're back above 500. They're coming back home, back to St. Louis. The real big thing that I want to address is this lineup card situation. And, I've been having conversations personally, privately. I've been having conversations professionally within Gateway City Sports and the In the Zone Network. And we've all talked about the Cardinals lineup and basically what is going on there. What is happening with the St. Louis Cardinals lineup, and why is it that Mike Schilt seems to think that it's a good idea to be putting Dylan Carlson at the bottom of the pile He is your rookie stud hitter that needs help. He needs somebody to be around him to encapsulate him for him to have success. You need to be forced to pitch to other batters that are equal to or even more dangerous than what he is. He really needs that. The conversation that is consistently had is, why is he down at the bottom of the batting order when he should be brought up? And he should be hitting in number 2. Right? It makes complete sense. He's got some speed. He's got some pop. He can hit from both sides of the plate. It's a no-brainer. Why move him down to 6, 7, 8, or in most cases 7, 8, at the bottom of the batting order, batting next to the pitcher or the second worst batter in the entire lineup, which is, Matt Carpenter in any instance. You have Tommy Edman leading off, and then you insert whomever you want at number 2, and then you have Arenado and Goldschmidt, or Goldschmidt and Arenado. But why not put Carlson there at number 2? It makes complete sense. But no, we're going to shove him all the way down because he's a rookie and he needs to earn it. This is where I get frustrated with the organization and how they run their lineup. And this is on the coach. I understand. It's on the manager. I get it. All right? But what I'm fed up with and what I'm sick and tired of is stuff that's common sense that's staring you right in the face and telling you, what are you doing? Why are you trotting Matt Carpenter out there when he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat? He can't even hit his weight in a batting average. And you're trotting him out there. He can't play defense. I can understand it in a specialty setting, left-handed, right-handed, lefty on righty on lefty. I get the matchups and the certain particular situations, but Matt Carpenter is not doing good right now. He is in really, really bad shape. He needs rest. He needs to be gone, something. Why are you sitting there and putting him into the lineup when you have young players that are sitting underneath him? John Nagowski being one of them. He was on an episode between me and Ron Nuttall when we were over on and had Cards on Deck, and we were doing that podcast. He was a guest of ours over there. Great guy. I remember thinking after the show, wow, solid up here. He's got it. Why isn't the organization giving him a shot? It's the same thing with Matt Carpenter. You paid him this retirement fund. Okay, good. Let him ride off into the sunset. Set him on the bench. Put him down in AAA. Whatever it is that you want to do. Pay the man, eat it, deal with it, and move on. Bring up somebody like Nagowski that could hit. Okay? Bring up somebody else. Maybe somebody else that could play some defense. Maybe somebody that has some speed that can steal some bases and you can put on a base pass. Do something like that. Stop putting Matt Carpenter out there in those situations, which damages Carlson. Another young player that's up, who should be in number 2. But you've got to jostle everything around because of egos. Well, I've got to bat 5th. I've got to bat number 3. And I'm not saying Arenado's one of them because he's not. He's a team player. He's a team guy. Same with Goldschmidt. Team players, team guys. And I'm sure that they've had this conversation because I could see it. I could see it in the way that Nolan is batting, and he has a more rounded approach at the plate. He's hitting for contact. He's not trying to smoke home runs. He's hitting it at different angles, and he's hitting at different positions, and he's swatting at pitches to shovel them and to pull them, or he's swatting at pitches with an open face of the bat to push it out into the outfield or push it between the infielders. He's not trying to smash home runs anymore. Same thing with Goldschmidt. They're kind of hitting to the field. This needs to be addressed either by the front office or by the manager himself, because he's going to end up out of a job. If you can't manage this lineup and make this work for you, I can understand the pitching. But if you can't manage this lineup, you don't need to be coaching in the major leagues. Period. End of discussion. I like Mike Schilt, don't get me wrong. But if you can't handle the heat, get the hell out of the kitchen. That's my philosophy. That's why I always like Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa is not the nicest guy in the whole wide world. He's got some personal defects and some issues. But sometimes that's what you need to be a successful coach in this league. Any professional league. Look at the NFL. Is Bill Belichick a nice guy? No. But he's won how many Super Bowls? 6? He's been to how many Super Bowls? Either as a coach or an assistant. He's been around winning. He knows it. He understands it. He lives it. He breathes it. That's what we got to do. Why is it that we keep trotting this lineup card out here? The pitching is what the pitching is. I've also come to the conclusion about Carlos Martinez. Everybody out there knows how I feel about Mr. Martinez. He's a 3-inning pitcher. Max. That's what you can get out of him. He can't go 4 or 5 innings. As soon as he gets into that 4th, 5th inning, he's petered out. He's done. He needs to be in the bullpen. That's where he needs to be. He needs to be in the bullpen. He needs to come in for a couple of innings, long relief, mid relief, whatever you want to call it, but he does not need to go over 3 innings. I think he has a pitch cap. I think that's where he needs to be. I think that's somewhere around the 30 to 40 pitch mark. You need to move on from Carlos Martinez as being a starter. It's not working. It hasn't been working. You need to put him in the bullpen. You can't trade the guy. He's too much of a basket case. He's, like I said before in the past, he's more worried about modeling Gucci on his Instagram and standing in front of high-end sports cars like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and whatnot, and doing that on his Instagram, than he is about playing baseball. He needs to go to the bullpen now. If that means you've got to bring somebody else up, if you've got to do something else, I know there's a few people out there, personal friends of mine, I love them to death, but they're being silly when they say that, oh, we should bring up Matthew Liberatore. He ain't ready, guys. He ain't ready yet. Not for the big leagues, right? Not for the big stuff. He's not ready. He's close, but he's not there yet. We're going to keep on keeping on with him, coaching him the right way, going to ease him into it. You don't want to just throw him to the wolves right away. He's going to end up destroying his career if he does that. You don't want him to do that. So that's it on the St. Louis Cardinals. Like I said, 3:15 tomorrow. Bally Sports, that's when the game should be going on. Now, another thing I want to lightly touch on is your St. Louis Blues and the situation that's been going on with them as of late. It's concerning, pardon me, that, got choked up there. Out of 38 games, the Blues are 16-16. That's not good. I mean, considering where they've been at, they have had no defense. They're on out of the last 10, 2-7-1. They have a 7-loss skid that's going on right now. It's just not a good situation for the St. Louis Blues. Whatever the deal is and what's going on with that team right now, I'm at a loss because I don't know. I just don't. I see no effort. I see no excitement. I see no drive. There's just nothing there. You know, Jordan Bennington has just been thrown to the wolves out there. Same with Husso. They could put a cardboard cutout in goal, but they just cannot keep the puck out of their zone. They just can't. I don't know if it's a defensive problem. I don't know if it's a line shift issue. I don't know if it's a lack of just gumption. I don't know. But what I can tell you is it's not looking good for the Blues right now. Something needs to be done. I don't know what it is. If that means there's trades that need to be made, if there's players that need to be moved, or if it's just, wash our hands with this season and move on to next. If there's something else, I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is what I see. And what I see doesn't work. It's not working. Okay, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be dealt with in some capacity, whether it be through trades of this season or movement through this season, or it needs to be next season. Something needs to happen. So, not a lot going on for the rest of the sports world. There's some odd and end stuff that's happening, but nothing really as of note. Nothing that's really super huge. Things with the MLS front in St. Louis, that keeps moving along. Everything's going swimmingly with the construction of St. Louis City SC. Their stadium is just coming along very, very well. Hopefully everything continues to go well over there and everything gets worked out. We are still waiting to hear news on the XFL front, the rumored XFL-CFL merger, things of that nature. Make sure that you stay tuned to XFL-STL. And that will get you all your updated news on that forefront right there. Outside of that, that's all I've got for this week. So I am going to go ahead and keep working on some stuff. You guys make sure that you go over to gatewaycitysports.com. Check all the latest and greatest news articles. If you would not mind, I'd appreciate you going over to Twitter. Gateway City Sports over on Twitter. Gateway City Sports over on Facebook. We have 2 Facebook groups. We have the fan page, and then we have the main page. Make sure you add them both. So until next time, this is Derek King from Derek King Sports Show signing out. I will see you guys next Wednesday. You guys take care. See you then.
This is the Derek King Sports Show. Cardinals, Blues, Mizzou Athletics, Chiefs. He has it covered. The Derek King Sports Show. Only on Gateway City Sports.